Recording in progress.
Well, welcome everyone to Cathet Regional District Committee of the Whole meeting for March 25th, 2026. And I would acknowledge that the meeting is taking place on the traditional and ancestral territory of Tla'amin Nation. And I'm coming to you today from my home on Sayayin, otherwise known as Texada Island. Directors, you have an agenda in front of you. Are there any changes to the agenda that anyone is proposing? Seeing no hands, could I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Seconded.
Okay, I think that was Lennox and Gisborne, but other way around. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Adoption of the minutes of February 25th. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing no hands, a motion to adopt, please.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Director Elliott, I think Director Fall was in there. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Now, I've lost my view of the room just a second. Okay, that's better. All right, so we have no delegations, no unfinished business, no correspondence or business arising therefrom. We're on to reports. 8.1, Savary Island Road Maintenance, and you have a recommendation before you, Director Lennox.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'd like to make a small amendment, be a friendly amendment, I hope.
Okay, well, nothing has been moved yet, so you can move.
Yeah, I'll move it and then
move it the way you'd like. Do you want to move it and amend it at the same time?
Yes, thank you. I'll move an amendment.
Yeah.
After they, so transit requesting they will add continue to work with RCMP and local groups, and then to address.
Okay. So that's adding continue to work with RCMP and local groups.
Yes. Okay,
everybody got that. And you are moving the motion with that phrase in there. Is there a seconder for that motion? Elliot, am I seeing your hand?
It was Director Gisborne. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Discussion. Director Lennox.
Thanks. I know you're having trouble seeing the small screen there.
Right. Well, it's a bright light right beside me, but
no problem.
Outside. I can't change
Thanks,
it.
Chair.
Okay,
thanks. A lot of work over many years on this subject of Savary Island road maintenance, and through our staff, I want to thank Mr. Devereaux for years of this work and others. Really, that's a good report. It's a good recommendation. But I added those phrases because other folks are trying to help as well. The RCMP met with us recently. We had a very fulsome discussion about what's realistic in the community and what we can and can't do as far as parking, safety, insured vehicles and all that. And it really, I got to give our new staff sergeant credit for not just letting this drop off the ball. And we're trying to work together with the groups. I know there's a proposal attached at the end of this report that has been considered, by us and the different groups, but it's clear that we need to maintain our approach that's working now. And we don't have jurisdiction as far as current status, and one of the consideration was to take on parking. And in our discussions with the RCMP and MOTT, they were very clear to us that they didn't recommend that it was their jurisdiction, and there are some things we can do to improve the situation. So I just think we should maintain that, but add that they're helping us. Thanks.
And that's great news, because I think when a community works together, everyone benefits. Director Fall.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add, I really think the motion is very good. And this isn't, in some levels, it's not so unlike the wharf issue. We want, as much as possible, to explore all options for the province, in this case, to continue to do their job and not just download it onto us just because we might be able to do a more proactive job with dealing with the problems. I think until we explore all options and all possibilities to improve the situation, it's way better to try to push MOT to do their job. And I really like the idea of encouraging them to work with the RCMP and other groups, just because, and I would add to that, when Lasqueti has, well, we have similar problems, obviously. And when we had our, well, I guess 2 terms ago, problems on the parking lot over which we do have jurisdiction or a license of occupation, it was really hard to get people to get their derelicts off. And one of the things that worked, and this is maybe just a heads up for the director Lennox, is that when Modi at the time wanted to bring gravel over, and there were also derelicts on their roadway, and there were derelicts on our license of occupation, only the RCMP can issue, towing tickets and stuff like that. For us to do that's difficult, and we don't want to take that on. But I worked with them to, in a coordinated way, not just I, but local people and the QRD, to work with them at that time. So when they were bringing gravel over and they wanted the road to be cleared for their trucks or for the contractors' trucks, actually working together to say, well, while you're doing that and you're clearing this, to help clear this too. And we will, and our part was to communicate. So I put a lot of communications out, a lot of advocacy to the and guilting to the public to say, get your cars off, to the point if here's some license plates that are still there. But then it worked well, because then Mott and the RCMP together could put tickets on cars, and almost everyone. I think there was one car that didn't get moved in the end, off of both what we wanted and what the Modi needed to turn the corner with the truck. So I'm just putting that out there as I guess maybe it's just looking for opportunities to do the coordination where it's appropriate, where Mott's already doing job or their contractor.
Thank you, Director Fall. Those are good suggestions. I see Director Elliott's hand, and then I'll put myself on the list. So go ahead, Director Elliott.
You Chair.
Sorry, my voice is foggy.
I just thought it might be a great idea if we put up the motion, as staff have been heard it, to make sure it actually looks the way that we think it looks.
I don't have that prepared. I could read it out for you right now, or if you give me a few minutes, I could do that.
We can move on to the chair's and come back to it if you like. I'm not in a hurry. I just thought before we voted on it, we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any chance of getting that posted?
Because it's just going to take a few minutes, but if you wanted to make your comments and then we can
Sure.
that works for me.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. And that's actually just to throw out a suggestion to whomever is the appropriate body. How about valet parking? Like, find another piece of land to park these cars. This is not a new problem. This has gone on forever, as far as I can remember going back in time. It's always been an issue where to park the cars, and especially going to Savary. So, have a piece of land somewhere and somebody set themselves up a little business as a valet parker and do that. And might solve the problem. Anyway, that's just one suggestion to throw out at those who will be working to solve the problem.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, I think we're getting some progress. Corporate officer. Thank you. Everyone can see that, okay?
Chair, that was my suggested amendment. Thank you.
Okay, that was what you moved?
Yes.
Great.
Director Fall. Director Fall has his hand up, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Because now with that posted,
I know.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Director Fall.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to pick up on this valet parking issue. What happened on Lasqueti is, when a lot of discussions were happening, the Islands Trust changed the land use bylaw to make parking an allowed home occupation. So in the home occupation. So I don't know if it's relevant for Savary, but I'm just maybe also throwing that out there. This is related to land use, and since there's an OCP review going on Savary, it could be a topic of what might be done to encourage for longer term parking. Services for people to provide off-road parking for a fee. That we have on Lasqueti a church lot that has a modest fee, and it's actually oversubscribed. So people are willing to pay for this. The longer term, people don't mind paying an extra whatever it is. So it just is an idea that might be something on Lasqueti. It's anywhere, just because of the way Lasqueti works. It's everyone can do this, but it primarily is relevant for people who live close enough or can offer a valet service and do that. But anyways, I just thought that throw that for the OCP could be a discussion item.
Great, thank you. So this isn't reinventing the wheel here. Okay, is there further discussion That's Director Elliott.
Thank you. Just to pile on that conversation around the parking, in Lund, we have a lot of people who do not park using the existing parking businesses, because there is parking and businesses set up for that. And there's always folks who are trying to park for free. So I think that communication at all tourism points and information about your community should indicate that there is no free parking, and then have links to the available parking services so that people coming there don't expect that there is free parking.
Okay. Thank you, Director Elliott. Anything else? Any hands I'm not seeing? Okay, seeing no hands. I'll call for the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, that takes us to 8.2, which is moving islands here. Lasqueti, the residual waste, the out of waste disposal request to the RDN.
I'll move the
Okay,
recommendation.
Paul? Yeah, you're moving the recommendation, seconded by Director Lennox. Discussion, Director Fall?
Yes, and I'll maybe first ask through the chair if Mr. Cohenhoven has any comments on this. And then I have a couple of comments related to the Waste Management Committee, but Mr. Cohenhoven may fill in a few dots here if needed.
Sure, Mr. Cohenhoven.
Thank you, through the chair. I am available for questions, and just a quick comment to clarify that this is an agreement that we've had on the go for about 5 years, and it is currently a backup plan that helps us in the case of an interruption for other waste services. So I believe that's clear in the report, but I am here if there are questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And really, so for the rest of the board, this is not being used right now. The barge comes down to Lasqueti and goes back up to Powell River right now. But in the past, at one point, there was a barge that went over, and it may be more cost effective. It's really just which barge operator. The former barge operator's barge was no longer available. And so this was the most cost effective way right now. But keeping this as an option would help at least leave the door open for reducing costs for the waste management for transporting Lasqueti waste off of the island to somewhere close. So Cedar, if there is a viable barge, it's actually, in theory, should be cheaper, but it's really just getting that right-sized barge. The previous barge was a huge barge, so the cost was higher than sending the smaller barge down. But this is just keeping the door open, and I really appreciate this being kept alive as an option.
Okay, thanks, Director Fall. Further comments? Director Lennox.
Thanks. I'll stick my hand way up high. Really, thank you. This report made me think back again to landfills and what we're doing with our solid waste. And so I have just a couple of quick questions about, and it's probably for staff. I think we've asked for a report on landfill options. It was sort of, I think this would be good information. This adds to that discussion. So I don't know if that's even answerable right now, but it made me think of a pending report that's very pertinent to this, and I'm very interested in it. Avoiding the US and owning our own refuse, etc. We had good discussions about that, and it's time to look at that again. So it also reminds me when we may be forming our solid waste management committee, because again, this is the same type of discussion, and we need the community to weigh in. So I don't know if staff can answer that, or we can, I guess just an anticipation of that. Mr. Cohenhoven's got his hand up, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cohenhoven.
Thank you, through the chair. Real brief update. Yes, we do have direction from the board to be exploring alternative landfills, and we have been doing some preliminary estimates and costing on that. Just a reminder that we do have an agreement with the regional disposal company to use their landfill until the end of this year, December 31, 2026. So we are motivated to find a solution that would be effective pretty quick. I hope to have that report to you soon as well.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank
That's great information to hear, because as I say, timeliness and the community should weigh in. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Director Lennox. Any further discussion, Director Elliott?
Thank you, Chair. I just remember discussing right before the meeting started, the prices of fuel going up and how that was impacting people around the table. And it has occurred to me that all of our existing contracts may not be enough to, or our budgets may not be enough to address the hauling of all of our solid waste and waste all over the place. And I'm wondering, and I know that's not part of this agenda, I just so you can pick it aside if you want to, or we can have it come up a different time. But do we need to adjust all of that because of this spike in fuel price?
Good question.
Mr. Kono.
Thank you. Through the chair. So we have anticipated the fuel increases in the budget, both for the mainland transport to the States, as well as the transportation between Lasqueti Island and the Resource Recovery Center. It is significant. We are seeing especially the marine fuel prices going up. So all of that is accounted for in the budget, and we do not need further changes to the budget for that.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you. I just had a momentary.
Okay, Director Gisborne.
So yeah, hanging on to Director Elliott's question, our tipping fees. I know we updated our tipping fees to kind of reflect the cost of our cost to dispose of it. I hear that it's in the budget with these increasing fuel prices, and I'm wondering, are our tipping fees still close to alignment with the true cost, or should we be also considering increasing tipping fees again? Which of course might scare some people, but the world is the world as it is. So how close are we with our current tipping fees and the current costs, or are they starting to deviate with the fuel?
Mr. Conovan.
Thank you. Through the chair. Our existing tipping fees are still covering our costs. We anticipated inflation, we anticipated the commodity price increases, and we did add escalators at the beginning of each year for our tipping fees. So we are still in good territory with those new fees, and I do not recommend reviewing those at this time. If there was an indicator that we were going out of line, I would come back to the board and let you know that we need to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Cohenhoven. That makes me feel very comfortable. That's it from me, Chair.
Hey, thanks, Director Gisborne. Sure mark of good planning, that's for sure. I'm not seeing any further hands, so I will call for the question on this motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, 8.3 is the Provincial Community Wood Smoke Reduction Program for 2025 summary and 2026 program outline. And there is a recommendation in the package. What is your pleasure? Director Gisborne?
Yeah, I'd like to move option 2.
Okay. Option 2 is no.
The committee recommends to the board that the board directs staff to discontinue participation in the Provincial Community Wood Smoke Reduction Program and return any unspent grant funding from prior years to the CWSRP organizers, page 505 of the report.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, thank you. That has been moved and seconded. Okay, looking for discussions.
Stick your hand.
Director Gisborne.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think we've had a good program. It's had a good run. Last year we didn't receive any grant funding, so we used up I believe the 2024 grant funding. Taking a look at the report, I believe we budgeted last year $15,000 for program oversight and marketing and advertising, and in the end we provided $13,500 in actual grants. So I look at that and I go, okay, we budgeted $15,000 for the management of the grants, and then we only gave out $13,000. And we didn't get any grant funding last year. We might get grant funding this year, but with what's happening with the provincial government, seeing them tighten their belts, and I wouldn't be surprised if the province turns around and says, we got no money for you this year either. And you know, I kind of come back to that, you know, we budget 15,000 and out 13.5. And I think the program's done some good work, but I think it's time to kind of put a pin in it, and then maybe next year we can review it if the province finds some more coins under the couch cushion somewhere. So I'd like to keep it, but I recognize the costs and challenges. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Director Gisborne. I see Director Elliott, Southcott, and then I'll put myself on the list. So Director Elliott.
I think I have understanding wrong, maybe, because that didn't make sense to me. I think that we have already got grants that we're trying to use to continue the program and have received that money, and if we don't use it, we need to send it back. And then there's a matching portion that is ours that we don't have grants for and never did have grants for. And the benefit is that people get to upgrade their wood stoves, and the wood stoves are more efficient and it's better for our air. So it feels win-win to me. So I don't see how this canceling makes any sense whatsoever. So correct me if I'm wrong, is that not the situation we're talking about?
Okay, Director Elliott, thank you. Director Southcott.
Oh, I was hoping for correction.
Okay, I'm not sure who you're asking that question of.
Whomever has the answer.
I may very well be wrong. So,
Chair?
Yes, see, Mr. Cohenoven?
Yes, that's the one.
Mr. Cohenoven, you're muted. There you are.
Thank you, through the chair. So a couple points, I suppose, is just that it is true, the observation by Director Gisborne. It is expensive to administer this program. It's almost $1 of our cost for each dollar that we provide through a rebate. And that's partly just due to the scale of the program. It is relatively small, and advertisements and staff time, it takes what it takes, regardless of how big the check is. So that is true. The other thing, just a quick correction, is that we did actually receive grant funding in 2025. So we did have new funds come into our budget last year, and that is why we do have some funds to carry forward to 2026. There is always a portion of our budget that we need, the QRD needs to fund the staff time as well as the advertising component of this program, so that we use those rebate funds only for the rebates. That's what allows us to provide the assistance to individuals, which normally isn't allowed to be done through like a grants and aid or through other taxation. So just looking at what we have left over and our options to either continue the program or terminate the program, there are $6,500 that we can come forward with, and we do have the program's permission to distribute those funds. But if we do choose to leave the program or to end the program, then we do need to give those funds back. I can't really advise whether this should or shouldn't be done, only that it can be done either way. So I'd like to stop there, and I'm available for more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cohenoven. I think we understand. Okay, Director Elliott, does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Director Southcott.
So we're basically looking at whether we want to continue to support the administration of these grants to people so that they can upgrade their wet stoves. And that's I think I would support that. Okay, carry on.
Okay, thank you, Director Southcott.
Thank you, Chair. I think I do remember us discussing this about a year ago, perhaps longer.
Yep.
I did have a question, that is how much I was a little surprised that the administration or management cost was the same as what's being granted. However, I'm also aware of other communities that have done concierge services to do the same kind of work for green energy, heat pumps, etc. Nelson comes to mind. And I think that that's a valuable service. Myself, my family, I put an insert in our living room fireplace. Fireplace was pretty much useless. It smoked, and fireplaces are kind of useless to good heat anyway, for the most part. I didn't get a rebate, but it's been huge as far, it's a high efficiency, very fine unit. And I particularly am interested in this program because it applies to city residents as well. The smoke issues are far more of an issue in the city. I have a file full of letters, well, it's not full, but there are letters both from Westview, Cranberry, particularly people who have lung conditions and who really appreciate it when wood stoves are not emitting smoke. So I do support the program, and I really hope we can keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Southcott. And I see you, Director Lennox, but I think was first on the list, so you can come right after me. And that is to say, I don't support option 2. I would like to continue to spend that money, because if we give it back, that's the end of it. If we spend it, maybe we're going to get some cleaner air. Maybe people will be motivated, 12, 5, I don't know how many, but we'll have cleaner air at the result if we chose option 1 than option 2. So I can't support the recommendation. Director Lennox, you go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. You know, this discussion has made me think maybe, you know, I'm sure staff does, but are there better models to administrate this money? And Director Southcott has indicated, you know, different ways. I don't know. And, you know, this is a provincial program, and I know there's constraints. So my questions are around, are we a red zone community? I just don't know if I read that.
I don't think so. Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, through the chair. In short, no, we are not a red zone community. There is a map on the program website that does clarify that, and thankfully we have a very good quality air in this region.
Okay, thanks. Follow up. So that would put us on page 4 of 5. That's why I was looking for the map, but I guess we're in the all other BC communities category. That's the only other option. I guess my question is, like, this is a provincial directive. Are these amounts directed by the province? Like, do we have any discretion to say, oh, we're going to give 700 or we're going to give 400? Like, is this provincial numbers?
Mr. Cohen.
Through the chair, yes, we have the option to top these up. We can add more incentive. And I would just need to speak with our financial services department as to how we would fund those top ups. So the amounts that are shown on page 4 are the amounts directed by the program. Those would be, I suppose, the minimums that we would have to provide per rebate.
Okay, thanks. And Chair, I'm just along the, you know, people have asked me about this. I've been asking, I put in a high efficient stove, didn't apply for it. That's my bad. But since then I put in a heat pump. And I don't qualify. Why? Because I did it myself. I didn't pay a contractor a bunch of money unnecessarily. You know where I'm going with this. I'm a little unhappy. Well, honestly, right? I took the effort to improve my situation and the environment, etc. And you don't get credit for that. And I bumped into a lot of people that are trying to get this stuff done. So not your problem, but more advocacy to the province when this program, I don't know when there's reviews or what have you. And really, questions around when do First Nations communities, all other communities sort of become equal in the incentive program, right? And there's no information on any of that. So I don't think we're helping everybody, but I see we have some money that we could disperse to the community now, and I understand the recommendation. Thanks.
Thanks, Director Lennox. Mr. Cohen, did you have a comment?
Doesn't have to.
Okay, all
Thank you,
right.
Chair. No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking for further hands, and
Fine.
I'm seeing Director Gisborne. So
Director
you are
Fall
the
was first.
mover.
Director Paul beat me to it.
Okay, well, I'll just remind everyone that option 2 is what is before us, and that is to discontinue participation in the program and give the money back, basically. So that is what's on the table right now. Director Gisborne, you had your hand up.
Yes, but Director Fall had his hand up first,
Oh,
and I am
right.
speaking a second time.
See, I can't see Director Fall anymore. He's vanished.
But,
Vanished
yeah,
off the screen.
I've gone
Okay.
left or right on your screen.
Yeah, but it's okay. Now I can see you.
Yeah,
Go
well, thank
for
you,
it.
Chair.
I'm
So I
sorry.
just want to say I'm not I understand some of the concerns, and I think, I think none of us love the relatively high cost, this kind of 50-50 ratio, but I do think it sends a bad signal to cancel it. We have some extra money. It's not a lot. We've had members of the public come very impassioned, our delegation a couple times, I think, of advocating for us to do something about wood smoke. I accept that it's entirely, it's much more of an issue where in suburban and urban environments. I mean, I think on Lasqueti Island, there's probably been very few uptakes. That's mostly for the homeowner. But the closer you are to your neighbors, the more it's actually helps the homeowner, but it actually, the environmental effect helps the neighbors who are walking by and living nearby. And I think that that becomes more intense the closer you get into where houses become closer together. So I think it's, I don't want to cancel it right now. I'm in favor of continuing with it, but I do think moving forward, it would be nice to explore alternatives, and I think that should somehow would be the preference. I mean, maybe there's a nonprofit who we could provide funding to where they might be up, 90%, 10% admin, or maybe there's an alternative way to do this, maybe reviewing the numbers that are given out. I mean, I think we can look forward, especially if we don't get grants from the future, then we're free to do what we want. So I think we should continue to look at what other ways there are to administer this. I do think it does help slowly. I mean, helping even a few stoves a year over time, maybe the most problematic ones come in. It allows an outlet. A neighbor can say to their other neighbor who has a smoky wood stove, say, hey, you know what? You can get $1,000 if you go do something. So I'm in favor of carrying on with it, so I won't vote for the option on the table. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Further discussion on the motion on the table. Director Gisborne.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mr. Cohenhoven. It turns out I was half wrong and half right. So, that being said, I do have a concern with the administration costs, and I understand that the costs are what the costs are, and we get our staff to implement these programs, and it makes me think about you only have so big of a plate. We only have so many staff. They only have so many hours in the day. We do have concerns around our, shipping garbage down to Washington State. We've asked for a report on alternatives. Current contract expires this coming at the end of this year. We got to get the solid waste management committee started up again. Like, there's a lot on our plate right now currently, and I'm looking at this program. Last year we allocated $13,500. And this year we're talking about $6,500. And we're also, that doesn't just come with, okay, we're going to hand out this money. This comes with the commitment of our staff time. And then we gotta balance that with the other priorities that we've put onto our staff. And I think there was also a priority related to Texas Island and yard waste, and like we've got a lot on the plate right now. I'll just speak a bit to my experience with the program. I've myself never went out and gotten a rebate, but I have run into folks that have. And quite often you'll see someone, they're building a new house and they go, oh, I'm going to go get a wood stove, and oh, I can get a rebate if I can go and find an old crappy stove from the dump somewhere and say that's my current stove I'm replacing, and maybe I can get a little bit of money back, which is not the intention of the program, but you know how some people are. And I look at that and I go, okay, maybe they should be reported or something, but that's not my job. I'm not operations. And I look at this program and I go, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's really what it comes down to in my mind is it worth us to allocate the appropriate amount of staff time to stick handle $6,500? well, we also have these other competing priorities. And that's why I actually am in favor of option 2, which is discontinuation of the program for 2026 to, get some things off the plate. So that way we can get back and get focused on, the really big issues, the solid waste management plan monitoring advisory committee. What are we doing with our long-term solid waste? Are we going to keep sending it to Washington State? Are we going to send it to Cache Creek? Or are we going to build a waste energy incinerator? I know I'm going all over the place. But I want us to stay focused on what has the greatest regional impact. And as was pointed out, we are not a red zone. And I believe we're in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the cleanest air of any city on Earth. And I know we're kind of a small city. But that being said, I think we need to focus on our top priorities. And I don't think this is currently a top priority. And well, clearly we didn't get the grant for this year. And I think if we hand back the 6,500, that means we're actually saving administration costs and administration time to direct that towards the other projects that we've got, the other sticks we've got in the fire.
Thanks, Director Gisborne. I think you made your point. So we get the message. Okay, loud and clear. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call for the question. Seeing no hands, all in favor of option 2? I am seeing one hand. Okay, opposed us. Okay, this recommendation is not carried. Is there a subsequent recommendation that anyone would like to make, such as option 1?
Make the motion as
Yes, Director Elliott.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna make the motion as stated in the package. That is option 1, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Okay, Director Fall, thank you. Discussion? I'll put myself on the list and just say, for all the reasons previously stated, I think this is the right way to go. And if we get cleaner air in one community, it will be worth it. So that's the only thing I have to say. Further discussion? Okay, if someone has their hand up, I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to call for the question. All in favor? Any opposed? One opposed. Okay, thank you. We will move on then to 8.4, which is the financial impacts of the WorkSafe Certificate of Recognition Program, the CORE program. And you have a recommendation in front of you. Director Lennox.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Okay, second, Director Fall. Discussion. Okay, I'm seeing a hand. Director,
Yeah.
can't tell if that's Lennox or Elliott.
Me again.
Okay, you see your hands disappear into the background. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Director Lennox.
Thank you, and I apologize to everybody because this is right up my alley. This is a great report, and this is really good news. This report illustrates the hard work that our staff has done and our workers have done to actually improve. And I can speak from my experience outside this organization that it's all because if you pay attention to something and manage it, you get results. And I think the report speaks for itself in the fact that it, in the past, we had some, some improvement to do, and we're getting there. So we're going to have some diminishing returns because of our hard work. But I appreciate all of the detail because I was asking some questions recently around this, and different organizations are affected differently. I guess my question to staff is, there are 2 sections that's in the report. There's the core program and what we're paying, and then there's the industry-led initiatives, and that's your health and safety association, I believe, that all local governments participate in. I see Ms. Taylor's nodding. My question is, are we actively participating in our HSA? Because we're paying the money, so I just want to make sure we're getting some value out of that.
Ms. Taylor?
Thank you. Through the chair, absolutely we are. They have been an invaluable resource to myself in developing safety programs and just to our organization as a whole. over my time in this position. So I can say out of the, I don't know, a couple $1,000, I think, each year that we pay into that they're having their support, we get much, much more value out of it than that. Yeah, by far. So I would say 100%
thank you.
yes.
Quick follow-up. That's really good to hear, because some organizations are paying and they don't really receive much. So that's a real bonus. Thank you. And then I have a question around CORE. It's a little technical. Does it involve the CORE program address or audit or consider the requirements under Bill 41 for recovery at work? And that's a little bit of a newer legislation, but are we being assessed according to our ability to keep workers at work and provide modified duties, stay at work? You know where I'm going with this.
Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, through the chair. So in recent years, WorkSafeBC has taken out the stay at work, return to work aspects out of the main CORE program. At one time, they were going to or had a stay at work, return to work CORE program just solely based on just that. They've paused that program. So currently it's not in scope.
Okay. Thank you. And I think you understand the material well. I can see that, and that it's hugely impactful to organizations and workers when they can stay at work and recovery at work. There's better outcomes, and financially and otherwise for both, not just the business, for the workers. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Dr. Elliott?
I'm just looking at a chart on page 5 of 8 that indicates the difference for 2026. If we had not had the reduction that we've had, is 53,808. And so is that our quantifiable savings to date since 2024 for the program?
Through the chair, yes, it is.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, well done.
I'm not seeing any further hands.
Director Paul has his hand up, Chair.
Okay, Director Fall, see, now you're off my screen again.
Back into view.
Forgive me for that. I don't know why you appear in here.
It's quite fine. Thank you, Chair. And I really appreciated this report. I think it makes a very good case for the CORE. And I know it's, everything's a package together. It's hard to really, and the report makes it clear. You can't say, well, this savings leads to, the savings from our experience discount of whatever the 35.5%, which is $53,000. That's not directly CORE, but CORE plays a role, and the amount, the description that we can't really get out of CORE anyways. But even if we could, the cost is so low and the discount applies to it, so it helps, and it helps in a lot of other ways. And I think that's laid out really well. The one question I have is, and if I guess the two small sub question, which is the audits are done every year, it seems. So correct me if I'm wrong. They're done every year. The certification is done every third year. And it says the question is really about the staff time, because it is on page 7 of 8. It says the majority of the burden is on the manager of OH&S, that is Taylor, to organize and prepare for the audit, facilitate tours and document and so on. So my question is there a benefit to our overall health and safety program in addition to the audit? So I mean, that's all time spent by you to do the audit and help the auditor and so on. Is there a benefit in terms of making sure, kind of going through checklists, making sure everything's looked at, and just kind of as an oversight? Is there an additional benefit, or is that just overhead cost of making sure the auditor is able to perform their duties?
Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, through the chair. I think it is the major benefit of CORE. I mean, there are financial benefits, but I think the big wins from participating in the CORE audit program is the non-financial stuff. I mean, we've got an external auditor who is really familiar with working with local governments and is really able to make good recommendations for us about, best practices and things that they've seen in other local governments. And aside from that, I think it's just a really good way to make sure we're continuously improving. Every year, we need to, come up with an action plan of what we're going to work on for the next year. And the audit that year takes a look at the action plan to see, okay, well, how far have you come since last year? And it really helps it helps to make sure we're always improving and we never get to that place where we say, okay, we're done safety now. You know, we've made
We've
it.
learned that too.
Yeah. So I think that the main benefits of core are the non-financial benefits.
Thank you for that. And I just, to follow up, I just say that I think the fact if you have this person is fresh eyes, so someone comes over and it sort of forces looking at things through their eyes a bit, and they might point out, even if it's one thing, one place, that's the hazard or that's the reduction and proactive. So I think it really has that benefit of forcing the program to be comprehensive and detailed, and then that translates out. I think that shows up in the fact that we're recognized and we get these savings. And so the net savings, if we can maintain that, that's fantastic. That's more than covers, costs. So I think the benefits are tangible. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Fall. Recognize Director Lennox, and then I'll put myself on the list.
Thanks, Chair. Just quickly, you've flagged something that I learned recently and our discussion about once you're in core, you can't ever get out. Well, actually, there is one way. You have to get everybody in your classification unit to agree. And I don't think you're going to get all local governments to agree on anything, including this program. Therefore, the logic is we're going to pay for it anyways. So it sounded like if you didn't take any action, you'd be actually sort of just paying for nothing. And I'll just also mention auditing, the beauty of actually looking at yourself. Auditing is about our people. Inspections are about equipment, but this is important stuff. We're looking at ourselves and our people. So bravo, good job.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Lennox. My turn. And Ms. Taylor, I just want to say before you started here, I remember when we were, I think, a total of 5% compliant, and that wasn't very good at all. But I just want to say, look how far you've taken us, and I really appreciate your good work and that of your team, and thank you for that. So that's all I have to say. Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Southcott?
Director Southcott.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't going to raise my voice because there's been a lot of appreciation and praise, but I have to because my career basically was in what happens when safety
Yes.
cleaning up. And also the people who worked in that field got hurt too. So it is a culture, and that isn't something that we ever finish transforming to greater functionality. I think we've got a long ways to go in a lot of ways in our society. But this is one that brings people together because people who are working start watching each other as well and that takes a long time to change habits that probably weren't good to start with, speaking for myself. And having seen a lot over my work years. So I so appreciate this. And as has already been said, the benefits to the people who are working well, I don't think we've really quantified them here. They're really big, and thank you.
Those numbers are people.
Just numbers.
Okay. Any further discussion on this item? I'm not seeing any further hands, so we will call for the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That motion is carried unanimously. And we are now on to 8.5, the MRDT revenues. And there is a recommendation here. I don't know if directors have questions at all before we deal with the recommendation, but that could be considered at this point. So I'm not waiting for somebody's hand to show up here.
Yes.
Okay, that was good. Okay, Lennox and Elliott.
Thanks for the encouragement, Chair. Obviously, we've got some options. My question is, if we were to freeze the funding as per the recommendation, who holds the funding? I guess is it held by the QRD? Then take action with, I see the CAO's hand.
The CAO, it's my understanding, it would be held by the Sunshine Coast Tourism. Is that your understanding?
Through the chair, yes, it's my understanding that Sunshine Coast would hold it on our behalf.
Great.
Okay, that's your question, Director Elliott.
They would hold it, but they wouldn't spend it. And curious why is there a laws against us holding it and not spending it, and that's why it has to be done that way?
CAO?
Through the chair, yeah, that's their rules of operation, which I believe are dictated by the province to them.
Is there, can I have a follow-up, Chair? Is there a risk that they can choose to spend it some other way?
Through the chair?
CAO?
Through the chair, I don't believe so, because we have, in my estimation, an allocated percentage of those funds that are raised to come up here.
Okay, so I guess a definitive answer on that would be probably a good idea. Just because we're not looking at trying to redirect it somewhere else, we're looking at trying to accumulate it so that we can make a better decision in the future. So that I think we need to know that if we don't know for sure.
Okay, thanks, Director Elliott. We're still on the subject of questions about this, and I'm going to put myself on the
Raise it
list.
high.
Pardon?
I said raise it high.
You were first, Director Lennox. So
Go ahead,
Director
Director
Gisborne?
Gisborne.
Okay, you can go after me. My question is to staff regarding the report. It doesn't anywhere say that I get the common sense of pooling the money so that we can leverage for the maximum that we can leverage it for. That makes sense. But I'm not seeing anything in the report that refers specifically to housing projects. And MRDT funds are collected for specific purposes, which is tourism, marketing, or more recently, non-market housing. So do the projects that staff envision leveraging this money toward, are those housing projects? Because the report didn't actually say. That's my question. CAO?
Through the chair, there have been no identified projects to date. But if they were non-market housing or worker housing, then they would qualify.
But is that what projects you envision spending this money on? Because it is sort of, it has to be spent for non-market housing or tourism marketing.
Through the chair, the board has not made any directive in that regard.
Okay, that's the purpose for which they are collected.
I'm trying to clarify that that's a board decision, not my decision.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I actually don't believe it's a board decision. I think it's set out by legislation, and the Sunshine Coast Tourism is a receiving authority for our share of the MRDT funds, which are divided between the South Coast and the North Coast. That's my understanding of how it works. So what you're saying to me, my question is, do the projects in the report all refer to leveraging funds for social housing, or are other projects also contemplated?
Through the chair, those would be options made available to the board, yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm looking for further hands. Seeing none, we do not have a motion.
Chair.
Yes.
You said I was after you.
I beg your pardon?
You said I was after you.
I'm sorry. You're right, Director Gisborne. I apologize. You go ahead.
Yeah, my question, I went and took a look at the municipal and regional district tax program requirements and took a look at some other communities and what they do with MRDT funding. And I see this, the MRDT program is intended to contribute to the increase of local tourism revenue, visitation, and economic benefits, and must be supported by both local governments and tourism industry stakeholders. And so when I read that, it's more than just affordable housing. It's really to kind of promote tourism in our area and you know, programs. And when I was looking at what is it, Municipality of Salmon Arm, they have a economic development society that handles these programs. And if you're looking for event support or event funding, you can apparently make an application to the Salmon Arm Economic Development Society, and they will transfer MRDT funds to local projects and local events that are helping to create, you know, tourism draw to the community. And I started thinking about, in our community, we've got, you know, Sandcastle and the Outdoor Recreation User Group and all these hiking trails. And I'm wondering, could we do something similar? Could we, you know, work with Sunshine Coast Tourism, or you know, maybe partner up with some of our current grant requests to say, hey, can we send some of this MRDT funding to like Townsite Jazz and Sandcastle to, you know, help support the tourism activities that are, you know, drawing people to the community. And when people get drawn to the community, it generates more MRDT funding. So is that an option? Is that a possibility? Or is that kind of option 3, the request further analysis option?
CAO?
Through the chair, I don't know, because we've only ever had this funding directed at housing, non-market worker housing. And so we would have to talk to SCT to find out exactly how those other options work. I know that we're supposed to prepare a plan, at least for non-market housing or worker housing, and submit that to them. So I don't know if they approve it or if they just have to funnel that off to the provincial adjudicators or whatever. But I don't know what happens with anything else. We'd have to flesh that out with Sunshine Coast Tourism.
Okay, so that would be option 3 if we wanted to go that route, which is request further analysis. Okay. Chair, Director Fall had his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Paul.
Thank you, Director. I guess it's a question through the chair to the CAO. We'll keep sending questions his way. So the question is, and thank for the information. I thank you for the information that helps me understand what's going on here. And when you look on page this appendix 1.8 affordable housing, it has this, you know, requirement, and it does have options. So somehow, if we want to do affordable housing, then, you know, we have to describe what kind of project are we spending it on, such as acquiring, constructing buildings, funding towards rental social housing. So there are options, as we talked about, and how do we go from A to B? So the question is, if we were to pass the option, the freezing the funds option, the recommendation, which is just to put a temporary hold, how would we move that forward? So would it be needed right now? Is it appropriate right now to pass the option 3 part, which has the, you know, asking for more report? Would it be appropriate for it to be sent to strategic planning for the next board? Because that's another thought that entered my mind, that maybe, you know, there's an election, the next board could say, you know, this is a big issue if we get into, you know, the options that are possible. So would that be something that could be for strategic planning, and would that need a board motion? So what are the, you know, I guess it's more like not options for using the money, but options to move the discussion forward. How would this happen if we, you know, do we need to do anything in addition to putting a temporary hold or asking SCT to put a temporary hold?
Well, I don't see it at this time, but we'll ask our CAO if he has any thoughts.
Through the chair, yeah, it could be something that the board pushes off to strategic planning. There are a number of options that the board could direct that are not already in play.
Thank you, Director Lennox.
Thanks, Chair. Just before I make a potential move on this, I guess if we're going to consider option 3, would that mean that this year's funding would then come through, be allotted as per normal, and then give us a chance to assess all the other options? Because, you know, when I look up the purpose of MRDT funds in general, tourism, marketing, community projects, and affordable housing, and I've got a bunch of ideas, you know, again, that I'd like to explore that aren't necessarily just housing. that might be part of it, but, so I guess what I'm saying is if we go for option 3, then everything will continue, the funds will flow. We won't hamper any current efforts or organizations that are, you know, wondering about what may be happening. But we can also get a report to say what are our options. That's where I'd like to go. I don't know if
Thank you, Director Lennox. Kind of a hybrid of option 1 and 3. CAO?
Through the chair, if you turn the page,
Yeah.
there's a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh. Well, that helps.
One of those old, like
Okay,
Cold War
Oh,
things.
there it is. That. Yeah.
Director Elliott, I think you were next.
Thank you, Chair. Is it feasible for us to receive the funds and rather than doing the direct awards we've always done for them, to solicit community projects for non-market housing that sort of make proposals for the funding? And instead of how we've done it in the past? Or is that more groundwork we haven't got done yet?
CAO?
Through the chair, I don't think that that is in the cards because we have to submit this plan. And if we don't know what it is that we're gonna use the money for, it's kind of hard to respond to the first question that they ask. So I think we need to know what our intentions are first in regard to any type of housing, and then be able to submit the plan, and then they'll release the money.
Okay, so in that regard, Chair, I think I'm in favor of the proposed motion in the package that is, you know, not one of the other options, but this one, the freeze option.
Okay, thanks, Director Elliott. Was there a motion in there somewhere?
Well, I could make that motion if people are ready yet. I wasn't sure if you were finished your conversation.
Okay, well, let's see. I think there's still a few more questions. Director Gisborne?
Oh, I was actually gonna move option 3, but with an amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than with a policy framework, I was gonna request with options. So that it would be that the committee of the whole recommend to the board that the board direct staff a report back with options for future municipal and regional district tax revenues allocation. The board informs Sunshine Coast Tourism to put the current municipal and regional district tax revenues on hold. And if I get a seconder, I'll second that. Okay. Seconded.
Can I request, is that in the package? With just a slight amendment?
Yeah, it's to remove a policy framework and add options. And I'll speak to why there's that minor change. Is a policy framework is
This
great.
is option 3.
Yeah, option 3. A policy framework can be great if the staff know what the board's intentions are. And I think some of the things that have come up is there's a few unknowns about what's possible and what's available. And if a report comes back with options, then I think our board can give that direction to a policy framework if that's the direction we want to go. But I think getting options is going to be really beneficial for us to determine where we actually want MRDT funds to go. I know there's a bunch of talk around, you know, non-market housing. Myself, when I thought a lot about MRDT, I put my mind into what would a Airbnb owner, sorry, just a regular B&B owner, you know, what they're paying, what is it, 2-3% tax on this? And they go, well, where does that money go? And quite often it's, hey, we want this to go to promote tourism in our community. And that's going to generate more revenue for the bed and breakfast. And therefore it will generate greater income through the MRDT program into the future. And that can then help out our various activities and organizations in our community because, you know, with the mill closure, we do need to draw more tourism dollars to our community. And a lot of these organizations are struggling, and that's one of the options I would really like to see more of. And I was looking through the Salmon Arm application, and yeah, they have event funding support programs using the MRDT, and it's through program goals. I don't see that as a widespread thing across, when I was looking at MRDT, but that if that's an option that could benefit our community, and I think that also might get some buy-in from some of the short-term rental providers in our community. So this is why I support the motion, and I think getting some options will help us move forward with the next steps. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Gisborne. Speaking to the motion on the table, Director Lennox.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just briefly, for the reasons stated by Director Gisborne, I support the amended option. I'm looking for options. I don't think we're ready to make a policy until we understand what we're talking about. So that makes sense to me. And then thank you, CEO. The second part of it is to put it on hold because we can't make a commitment until we know what we want to do. So I think instead of option 2, where it's sort of put it on hold and then do what, this is actually taking some action to find the answers. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Director Lennox. Director Elliott, Director Fall.
Thanks. I think the motion is fine. I think the part about coming back with options is a little bit redundant because I think we've already asked for that in a previous motion and that's underway and we haven't got it yet. That's why we're not ready this year. So the freeze is to allow that to happen, but I'm okay with making that request twice, I guess. That's fine.
Thanks, Director Elliott. Director Fall.
Thank you, and thank you, Director Elliott, for reminding us. I think if if it's a bit redundant, that's fine. We'll get the information, and I think I can support this motion. I think it adds to what I suggested to that this might be best handled at strategic planning in the future because we'll get this report, we'll see it, and that report we all know that understanding MRDT is a little complicated, a little bit nuanced because where it comes from and what the options are and so on. So I think us having a report that would help us and the future board understand those, and that would be needed to do anything useful in strategic planning. So I think if there's a bunch of options, if we say here's different things we can do related to affordable housing and other flexibilities, and within affordable housing, what are the things and how what are the ways we might do this, then that would help inform a discussion. And however that happens, I think it's going to be a detailed discussion because if we do something, it could range from small to very big. So I think we're going to want to really think about this, we meaning the board and the organization, of what's the way we want to move forward and then set out on that path. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Fall. And for many of the reasons already stated, I also agree with the recommendation. I think that we have to have a policy framework that recognizes the required uses of these funds, and then everything else can fit within that. So I support this. Anything further? See no hands. All in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. So there's no new business. Question period.
Hello, Chair Galinsky from the Peak here. Everything seems pretty straightforward today. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Galinsky. There is an in-camera session. Would someone like to move that recommendation?
Oh,
Director Gisborne, Director Lennox, any discussion? All in favor? Hands up. Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Carried. All right, we are going in camera. Thanks very much.
Recording in progress.
Welcome back to Committee of the Whole. We have no rise and report, so our meeting is adjourned. Thanks for joining us.
Recording stopped.